All right, guys. I don't know if you've seen this, but I've been saying for a long time that the polls aren't necessarily accurately reflecting what's going on in the United States these days. Because the main narrative is that the Republicans are strong, the Republicans are just charging through. And I'm not saying that the polls are just 100% wrong, but I've been saying this for the better part of 3 years now, that the elections seem to be telling a slightly different story than the polls actually do. And we saw this with the election 20. I mean, after Roe v. Wade was overturned, there wasn't a, like, okay, this is going to happen. It kept going with special elections. And we had another one in Ohio. Let's see if I can share this right here. This was a Republican state senator, Michael Ruley was his name. And he ran. So you can share this bad boy over here. All right. So he Republican State Senator Michael Ruley won a special election Tuesday in Eastern Ohio for state Senate, and sat vacant for months. He defeated Michael Kripchak. All right, he won by about 10 points, which sounds like a solid victory, right? I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, your opponent's not close low with 10 points.
Pretty good in politics.
Right. Yeah. Nothing. No, you don't come home and say, oh, I only lost the election by 10 points. You got waxed. But check this out. When Trump ran in this district, he won it by 30 points. 30 points. Now, the last Republican that won, I don't see it listed here, but the last Republican that won this seat won it by like 24 points, if I remember correctly. So that is like, from Trump, it's a 20-point drop in support for the Republicans. And for the Republican, it's about a 14-point drop in support. And that seems to be happening a lot. I felt like Dave Rubin here. Something's changing. Something's changing in the air and everything. And I'm seeing this more and more. And I mean, I think that it's primarily the abortion thing that's driving the Democrats going through this. But now, after the whole Trump thing, I've never felt more confident that Trump is going to lose. Like, the more I see Donald Trump, the more I see how the Republicans are reacting to it, the more I see them bragging about the worst stuff imaginable, the more certain I am that average normie Americans are not going to be digging this. Well, what do you think, John?
So I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I don't feel the same way.
Okay.
I definitely am less confident that Trump will lose than I was maybe 6 months ago. Just because I definitely put more faith in the polls than a lot of people. I think at least the aggregate polls, like the ones that 538 does, individual polls, that they don't mean anything. But like the aggregate polls tend to be pretty predictive still. But you do have certain areas where they miss, and every election they're different. And we saw this a couple times, especially in Ohio. And unfortunately, I don't think Ohio is close enough to flip blue.
No chance.
I'd probably ever. I think we've lost that
we will die with the red Ohio.
But I do think that it is very indicative that the abortion issue is the thing that is fooling the polls. I think a lot of people are telling pollsters, a lot of Republicans, especially a lot of Republican women, are telling pollsters that they're going to vote for Republicans. They're telling their husbands that they're going to vote for Republicans, and then they are not voting for Republicans. I think, and the other flip side of that is, I saw some analysts talking about why this was so close, and they're like, I mean, honestly, unexpectedly large turnout for the Democrats, unexpectedly low turnout for the Republicans. Yeah, I think that that's exactly what's happening. Abortion is getting Democrats to the polls and causing, closeted pro-choice Republicans to not go and vote, and that's what we're seeing. And I think that I agree with you that the combination of that and hell, we'll talk a little bit about the Trump conviction and everything later in this show. But I think the combination of that and Americans shockingly caring about the 34 felony charges against Trump is going to really seal the deal. As long as Biden can remain upright for the next couple months here, I do think that I still think he wins it. I still think he wins it pretty handily, but I'm not as confident as I once was, TJ. I'll tell you that.
Well, so it's funny you mentioned the 538 thing. So, because I have a thing for that too. So, all year, actually, even also last year, I don't think Biden has ever been ahead on the 538 matchup with Trump. It's because they simulate 100 elections based on the data they have. And so in 2016, I didn't know it was this bad. But in 2020, when Trump and Biden ran the first time, the day before the election, they had Biden winning 79 out of 100 showdowns with Trump. I didn't know he was overwhelmingly favored that much. I don't remember it being that strong. But once again, people were still kind of nervous. Like, oh, yeah, you said the same thing about Clinton. But over the last year and a half or so, oh, hello, Heather. Thank you for joining in. We appreciate it very, very much, as always. And but Trump has always had 55 out of 100, 58 out of 100 chances of beating Biden. As of today, actually, here we go. As of, great. It's like I've never worked this platform once in my life. Sorry, folks. You got a rank amateur over here. But as of, not today, but yesterday, they have Biden projected to win 50 out of 100 times. This is the first time this happened. And the trend has been going, more and more toward Biden ever since Trump's conviction. And what you were talking about with people lying to the pollsters, that's always been a big thing, too. That's the reason people didn't think Obama was going to win. Because something that happened a lot when black candidates ran is that people would say, oh, yeah, I'm going to vote for the black guy because they didn't want to sound racist to the pollers. And then when the election came up, they changed their mind. And people thought that Obama's was overestimated, but he ended up hitting it. And another one I want to point out, you're talking about Trump's support from the Republicans. Now, one thing John and I talked about yesterday was how surprised we were, like John mentioned, that this conviction and the scandal surrounding Trump are actually hurting him, not just with the populace, but with Republicans. Like Republicans are growing, viscerally upset with Trump and kind of disgusted by him. And the best way you can see this is with the Nikki Haley vote. Now, I pulled up here. This is when Trump ran in November for the primary, and Trump got 63.3% of the vote. Haley got 34.6% of the vote. In a meaningless primary that everyone knew that Trump was going to win, they got out of bed, went to the primary knowing Trump was going to win anyway, and took time to do a protest vote against him. And Biden won like 85%. And so we hear a whole lot on the news about how Biden's being rejected by the Democratic base, and that's not inaccurate, but not nearly enough with Trump, because Trump is being rejected. I didn't think about this. Trump is actually rejected by more Republicans than Biden is by Democrats.
I just had that same thought, TJ. Like that's really impressive.
Yeah. But the news is never about that. The news is all about how Trump is still this strong as a bull moose, and Biden's got this tepid, weak support. Like, no, at worst they're even, but the numbers are showing me that people actually were rejecting Trump more than Biden.
So I wrote a TikTok kind of addressing this point today, and it's more focused on Biden's age, but it kind of plays to the same thing you're talking about here, is that Trump has Biden has farther to fall. Like Trump, we've had this near miss thing with Trump where it's like, yeah, it doesn't really matter whatever Trump says, whatever Trump does, he's going to still have his support. He's Trump. He's got this cult of personality. He's Teflon Don. Like, hello, Gwen.
Hi, Gwen.
And his age, like he says, he rambles just as much as Biden. Like you see his age just as much as you do with Biden. But the problem is that like Biden was once a respectable, understandable, coherent speaking man, and Trump never was. And so it's like, yeah, it just feels more significant. As you mentioned, 538 going into 2022 had 79 times out of 100 Biden winning. Now it's 50. And that's a story. That's a change. But it's not really a change that, there's a certain amount of Republicans who don't like Trump. Yeah, we knew that in 2020. That doesn't really change anything. And I I guess I am surprised that like more coverage isn't being devoted to like Nikki Haley, but like I think that the media circles the wagons. The Republicans are better able to get the media to circle the wagons than the Democrats are for whatever fucking reason. But I don't know. It is a weird disparity in that coverage. The age coverage I get. This coverage is a little bit more like, hey, why aren't we talking about this with Trump?
Trump has just, I think it's that it's just the fact that Trump does have such a large cult of personality and Biden doesn't have it. And that, you can look at the numbers in front of you, like, what are you going to believe? Me or your lying eyes? And you can see the numbers in front of you that Trump actually doesn't have the support that he once did. But you turn on the TV, you go outside, you see the flags, you see the hats, you see the rallies and stuff. It's like, okay, people really do like him, even though it's not nearly as strong. And Trump has cultivated this over, not just over the last 8 years, but his entire life. And what I brought a video I wanted to show you guys that, do you remember when Trump would do this, John? He would do this thing where he would have his cabinet officials come together.
Most of you know,
oh, shit. Of the people. He had his cabinet officials meet, and then all the cabinet officials would just go around the room kissing his ass. Dude, he did this multiple times during his administration. So I will pull up this right here. This is just how Trump operates.
Room, but I'm going to start with our vice president. Where's our vice president? Our vice president.
Thank you, Mr. President, and just the greatest privilege of my life is to serve as vice president to a president who's keeping his word to the American people and assembling a team that's bringing real change, real prosperity, and real strength back to our nation. Mr. President.
I love watching old clips of Mike Pence during the Trump administration. It's so funny.
You see the pain in his eyes.
It's so great, man. It's so great. And later on, I probably won't bring it up during that segment. We're going to talk about the Southern Baptist Convention. I read something that, Mike Pence got like more of an applause or something line than when they talk about him than with Donald Trump. It's like, it doesn't matter. They're voting for Trump anyway. But Pence is my favorite example of like what the conservative right Christians or conservative Christian right says they want, and they chose Trump over him anyway. And it's like, that all that bluster, and they went with the guy with 5 kids by 3 different women, other than the actual person who believes what they say. Let me see.
President, I'm privileged to be here, deeply honored, and I want to thank you for keeping your commitment to the American workers.
President, what an incredible honor it is to lead the Department of Health and Human Services at this pivotal time under your leadership. I can't thank you enough for the privilege that you've given me and the leadership that you've shown.
On behalf of the entire senior staff around you, Mr. President.
I want to pause here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but on the bar down there, it says the White House Chief of Staff is Reince Priebus. And there's 2 things about this. First, I didn't remember he was the White House Chief of Staff. I actually don't remember that at all. And second, the joke I always make is that he has a name like a Star Wars character. That doesn't sound like a real person's name.
He does.
Right?
Like it is a Star Wars character.
It is. I want you. Fuck Barack Obama. I want to see Reince Priebus's birth certificate. I don't believe that there's an actual
Priebus.
Mark Free, exactly. Like, what's up with that? Like Newt Gingrich? Yeah, please show me that's a real person's name. Okay, let's Reince Priebus.
President, we thank you for the opportunity and the blessing that you've given us to serve your agenda and the American people, and we're continuing to work very hard every day to accomplish those goals.
It's been a great honor to work with you. Thank you for your strong support of HUD and for all others around this table that I've worked with.
I want to congratulate you on the men and women you placed around this table. The holistic team of Working for America is making results in each and every area. This is a team you've assembled that's working hand in glove for the betterment of America. And I want to thank you for that. These are great team members, and we're on your team.
It was a great honor traveling with you around the country for the last year, and an even greater honor to be here serving in your cabinet.
All right.
Steve Mnuchin has one of the most punchable faces.
Oh God, right.
In my life.
right. And with that guy, all of those people were either fired or resigned. Mm-hmm. That was like this, like every last. Well, I guess Pence wasn't fired, but he wasn't offered the job.
He couldn't be fired.
The president
Trump
can't
wanted
fire
to fire him.
It's he wanted him hung, and so
Trump fired the first 3 guys that told him he couldn't fire Pence.
Yeah. Before he finally got the message through and everything. But no, it's what I want to know, John. I want to know what the pre-meeting was like, because I'd love to. I can see it going both ways. I can see it going the way that I assume is that Trump sat down and said, okay, we're having a press conference. We're all introducing ourselves. Although we've been working for a year, like, why are they having introductions? I don't know. But he says, when it gets to you, don't spend too much time on yourself. Kiss my ass. Like, do that for the whole thing. Or did they all just kind of know what kind of guy Trump is? And well,
TJ, it's the latter. Trump doesn't have to say that. Like I don't know if anyone in our audience has ever been around this personality type of a man in power, usually a man who, I guess women can be like this too, but it's usually a man in power who just, all that matters is loyalty. All that matters is you kiss their ass. It doesn't matter if you're good at your job. It doesn't matter if you know what you're doing. All that matters is you agree with them. And you know when you're working for, like, you see this is the thing where I feel like I recognize this so instantaneously. Like, you see this in movies, you see this stories in history of, like, you can go back to like a Roman emperor and you'll have the same exact thing. And it's so recognizable. It's such a clear pattern. And I genuinely don't understand how people, like, a lot of people have experienced working under a man like that, but they see that clip and they don't immediately recognize the destructive tendencies of a leader who demands that of his underlings. Like, it just, more people must have had asshole bosses like that and realize that they aren't effective. It seems like it should be something that's easily identifiable to, like, the average American, but I guess I'm wrong about that.
So I've never had a boss like that. I've had, like, bosses with major egos, like in the military. That's all people in the military are. They're assholes who want to be in charge. And I've had plenty of staff meetings and everything with high-ranking officials and stuff. Not once have I ever seen people go around as like, oh, sir, you're so incredible, sir. It's embarrassing. Like, watching that. And I can't imagine I'm not saying that these people don't exist. Of course they do. But it's just, I don't know how anyone would take it seriously. I really don't. I don't know how. And you're right. And that wasn't the only one. That was just one of them that I pulled. Trump did this many times throughout his term. And when I watched, I had the same thought as you. Was like, okay, everyone sees that what's going on here. Like, you know, there are Pornhub categories with more dignity than what we just saw right there. You know, just going around. And I don't know how that doesn't just turn you off immediately. Because, like, could you imagine that happening in any other president? I really can't. I really can't imagine that happening in any other White House. Or if it did, I certainly don't think it'd be broadcast because of the optics was just so bad.
It definitely happened in, like, LBJ's White House.
Oh, LBJ can see. LBJ can see that. Yeah,
there's definitely probably. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened in Teddy Roosevelt's White House. As much as I like Teddy Roosevelt as a president in general, definitely had that kind of leadership style. I don't know. It's definitely a thing that's happened throughout history, but in modern, like, no way fucking that's going on in Obama's White House. No, it's happened in Biden's White House. It doesn't even need to happen in That White House. They genuinely liked Clinton. Everyone probably did that, but they just liked hanging out with Bill. So, like, I don't know. It's just, you're right. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to me that people don't see how embarrassing it is. Because, again, we've all, and even if we haven't been to, like, that scale, we've all had to supplicate because our job depended on it or some other reason. And it just feels like a universal experience that people would recognize as soon as they saw someone else supplicating like that. And I guess, like, people, like, I guess there are a lot of people in this country that think power should be supplicated too.
Yes.
And that's certainly a thing. But maybe that is why, like, we are genuinely seeing this much more emphatic referendum on Trump coming from Republicans, because they are seeing these things. Like, they're seeing that all of his former people are not supporting him anymore. They are seeing the dictator for a day shit. Like, and it is having an effect. And as much as I don't think Democrats are doing enough to highlight this stuff, I do think it is having an impact. And I think that, like, the felony charge is the, like, evidence, the cornerstone that people needed to tie this stuff together into a coherent storyline that told them who Trump was. And that's what's, and I also think on the other side of it, Biden, again, we said this yesterday, isn't that bad for Republicans. Like he hasn't really done all of that much that Republicans absolutely hate. He hasn't moved the needle on abortion at all. He hasn't really messed with like immigration. He's honestly he's moved farther right. Like war, he keeps, spending on the military. Like he's not doing anything that would just piss off your average Republican voter other than being a Democrat. So again, you have this situation where a lot of people don't want to vote for Trump and not enough people want to vote against Biden. And you have the similar situation on the Democrat side where not enough people want to vote for Biden, but a lot of fucking people are going to line up to vote against Trump, which is why I think it is just it's a condemnation of Biden still that it is even this close. But yeah, I think that is what we're going to see play out over the next several months as long as Biden doesn't have a health scare.
Fingers crossed.
It's the scariest thing in the world, TJ.
All right, we'll cut it there. I wanted to add a couple things here, just like ancillary stuff we were talking about. So yeah, like one of the main things about Biden is that I think I heard Charlie Kirk talk about this, I think before 2020 election, where he said that the problem they're running into is that people don't hate Biden the way they hated Obama or Clinton. It's like, so it's hard to really galvanize. Like you see these Republicans out in Trump rallies talking about, crooked sleepy Joe Biden and the Biden crime family. Like, really? Come on. You don't believe that. You're putting on a show, man. There's no way you have this burning, although Joe Biden is the worst president. Come on. And you don't actually buy that. And so that does kind of work out in the Democrats' favor that there's no national wave of hatred. I mean, at worst, they'll think, okay, this guy's just not good at his job, but they're not going to bed, shaking their fists, waiting for Biden to collapse. And the whole sycophancy with Trump, it's revolting. Like it's I saw this image. What is this even from? It's like Trump he's with a bunch of senators here. I saw this and I saw some Republicans even shitting on this. Look at this image, man. Just look at this. Like all these grown ass adults just hovering around Donald Trump and clapping for him while he's got this goofy ass look on his face and everything. And it's like, how can you see that and just not be revolted? How can you just like not look at that stupid face? And this guy here, like Wesley, he's like, he looks like he's kind of upset, but everybody else has these stupid grins, and Trump looks like a 10-year-old child right there. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just agreeing. I was just looking at the way he's like how he always looks like he's about to fall forward.
He does, like that. Yeah, I don't know, but I am pleasantly surprised to see the amount of Republicans who are, at least as it stands, turning against them, and it's I don't know, fun to watch.
All right, guys, if you made it to the end of this episode, you probably noticed we didn't have a guest this week. It was just me and TJ, and we had a great time. We're always looking for new guests, so if you have any content creators that you want to see on this show, make sure to tag us in their videos, and we'll reach out to them and see if they can be a guest. And if you want to hear from TJ, I don't know, TJ, say something.
Yeah, no problem, John. Thanks so much for that. If you want to watch the show, we really recommend you do so and leave some comments. Leave some comments that are better than one Ben left here, where he's talking about Islam, saying, I call the religion of a billion people small, which I did not. I was saying in the United States, Islam is a very small religion, and so it's growing. So watch us and pay better attention than Ben. We'll appreciate it. Just giving you a hard time, Ben, but that is what I said. I was talking about the United States. The United States. Yeah, Islam is a small religion. Yeah, Islam is like the second largest religion on earth. I know it's very big, but it's yeah, okay, buddy. I still can't believe this guy's a kid. When his username on TikTok has been the Socialist Jew, that sounds like a 55-year-old man has that name. Like it's odd that I did not expect a high schooler to have that name, but we appreciate you, Ben. We appreciate the good and everybody else watching too. Thank you so much. We'll catch you guys next time. Oh.